But if you look at the facts, it is so obvious that there was an overpriced. First, you purchased this mask at 27 pesos and 72 centavos per piece, and the face shields at 120 pesos per piece. Ang sinasabo niyo po kasi limited pa ang supply noon, kaya masyado mataas ang presyo. Ngunit noong nagkaroon na ng enough supply siguro, noong September 20, DOH released a memorandum providing suggested retail prices for these items. 2 to 4 pesos per piece of face mask and 26 pesos to 50 pesos per piece of face shield. If you compare this to your statement that mataas dahilan sa hindi pa bago pa lang nun, ang laki naman po ng diferensya. Ang laki ng overpricing. Sino pa po ang head ng PS DBM noong panahon na yon? Hindi pa naman ikaw, hindi ba? Hindi pa kayo?
Sir, I'm with the procurement service po of
the... Who was the head of the PS at that time? PS...
Mr. Chair, I will answer.
Sino? Yes.
It was USEC Christopher Lloyd Lau.
Christopher Lau?
Lau. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Is he still around? Is he still in PS DBM?
no more, sir. He resigned, I think, 2 months ago. I'm not sure.
About June? He resigned about June? Why did he resign?
I am not aware, sir. I did not ask why he resigned.
Is there a lot of talk going around when he resigned?
He wanted to be an ombudsman deputy.
Ombudsman, di ba? Ombudsman candidate.
No.
Ombudsman, deputy ombudsman candidate.
No. He tried, he applied, but he withdrew. Can you imagine? He applied as a deputy ombudsman.
Anyway.
But anyway, yes. So was it Mr. Lau who managed to buy these face masks and face shields at a very suspicious price, very high. Again, I would repeat, for 2 to 4 pesos for the face mask, as contained in the memorandum of DOH itself, umabot ng magkano? 27.22 ang bili, but yet later on it was found out to be only from 2 to 4 pesos. And for the face shield, the suggested retail price from the DOH itself was 26 pesos to 50 centavos per face shield. Ang bili mo ng PSDBM ay 120 pesos. Hindi po ba nakakapagtaka ito? Sino po ang bumili nito?
Under po yan nung time po na yon, under Secretary Lau.
Undersecretary Lau.
Last year, I think it was last year. I think it was already the subject of a previous investigation. I am not aware what actually happened last
Who
year.
conducted the investigation, ma'am?
I think it was also the subject of a Senate investigation, Your Honor. I'm not so
No.
sure.
Testing kits yun, tsaka laboratory equipment, but not the mask. Sorry for that.
Yes. Thank you, Francis. So he was investigated for some other overpricing.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Iba pang kaso po.
Iba pang kaso. Marami bang kaso itong si Christopher Lau?
Hindi ko po alam. We are not very close.
Bakit kayo tumatawa? You know, my colleagues found it funny when I asked the question if Mr. Lau had a lot of cases. But anyway, I'll have questions later, Mr. Chair. I just supported the questions of Senator Amy. I'll ask for the floor later for some other questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
A very quick intervention, Mr.
Senator Pangilinan, go ahead.
Thank you. The DBMPS, is there a board? Is this a board, or is it a agency with a existing board? Maybe
No,
clarify.
Mr. Chair, I'm not aware. I think it does not have a board. It's just an attached agency of the Department of Budget and Management. Does not depend on the national government for financial support. It functions like a government corporation, but it's not. It's not a private.
Does the Secretary of Budget have any role in the DBMPS management?
Yes, Your Honor. He actually has the hiring and firing authority over the procurement service.
Okay, so he resigns
Very good.
in June. Christopher Lau resigns also in June.
Records.
Well, anyway, very interesting.
Yes.
Yusek,
Interesting. Just the preliminary questions on Mr. Lao. Mr. Chair, can you recognize Mr. Chair?
Of course, I can recognize you. Thank you. Frank, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, may I ask the DBM if it is true that these face masks and face shields were supplied by a company named Pharmaceutical Corporation?
Kunin mo yan.
I am not aware, Your Honor, if that is the company that supplied it. I just knew at that time that it was all from China because we had
all
everything on it. And if I recall, we actually questioned, the executive committee asked the question on whether the amounts for the face shields, face masks, and other PPE would be defensible because some people from the private sector were saying that it's expensive. So that was the question I recall, na yun po yung tinanong namin noon kay Yusek Lau. And he said at that point na because there were limited items in the local market, the amounts that he presented were defensible. So I left it at that. I did not ask more questions, Your Honor. I wasn't really, pardon the word, I wasn't interested in the procurement going
Yes,
on.
for purposes of further questions on this point, can Yusek Kanda provide the committee with the last known address of Mr. Lau so we can invite him, if necessary, to this hearing?
I will ask those who are close to him, Your Honor. I can definitely provide you.
Yes, please. Anyway, while we're on the subject, may we know from the chairman, Senator Gordon, if the Philippine Red Cross would also purchase face shields and face masks?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm astounded, quite frankly. 120 pesos for a face shield, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, Mr. Frank, Mr. Senate President.
Yes.
In order, 120 pesos. We bought it at 15 pesos.
Can you repeat that, Mr. Senator?
We bought
In
the face shield
Philippine Red Cross,
15 pesos, sila 120 pesos.
and the government purchased it under the PS DBM. The price was 120 pesos.
From what I heard from you, yes. And then I heard that the price of the
Record.
face mask is 27.22 for the government.
That's for the face mask. How much did the PRC buy the same?
5 pesos then, and it's lower now.
How much?
5 pesos namin binili at that time in the beginning, and it's now very low, lower now.
nasa 2
About the
pesos
same
na
time,
po.
Mr. Chairman, about the same time as the DBMPS purchased their masks, about the
We
same time.
We purchased ours from the very beginning, so it should have been very expensive, but we got it at a low rate.
1/5.
Chair.
1/5.
Yes, and
Mr.
following
Chair.
the leadership of my good friend, the Minority Floor Leader, I would like the Secretary or the Acting Secretary of the Budget to send us all the records of all the transactions involving this Mr. Lau. Lau ba yun? Lau?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
All the records so we can follow and pursue all the transactions so we can check kung tama yung ginagawa dyan.
Okay, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you.
When the
Yes.
process of
Rizal Tiveros,
deriving
Mr. Chair.
information.
Just a moment. I think Senator Marcos would like to finish her point. Go ahead.
Yes, no,
Senator Marcos.
since we're already going to be asking for information, if it's okay, and in deference to Senator Risa later on, may I just inquire if it is possible also to derive from DBMPS copies, perhaps, of the articles of incorporation, because I understand these companies, the Pharmaly Pharmacy as well as Philippine Blue Cross Biotech, were newly formed companies with no financial or medical track record. And we would like to know also, because the board or the directors do not seem to have any background either in the supply area. Kung pwedeng mabigay niyo yung Sektina, yung record itong mga kumpanya, kasi hindi lang naman ito ang pinanalunan nila, kundi iba't iba pang mga kontrata.
I would assume, Mr. Chair, I would like to answer.
Yes, Yusek Kanda, can you
Yes.
supply Senator Gordon, the committee, with
Yes.
all the documents?
I would assume that we have documents with our procurement service, because
Yes.
when they go into bidding, they do have, they retain copies. Naman.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I will reserve my questions then until we examine the documents.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sorry, Senator Risa?
It's all right. Mr. Chair, may I? Mr. Chair, naka-mute po kayo.
Secretary Antiveros is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Sen. Amy, and for promoting me as a secretary, Mr. Chair. Salamat po. Just particular to the point kanina, nabanggit po ni Acting Secretary Kanda in relation to former Yusek Lau. I do remember that time na merong mga pinrocure na karamihan mga China-made at lahat overpriced na PPEs, despite the fact, at ito po under the watch then of Yusek Lau sa PSDBM, despite the fact na meron pong mga Filipino manufacturers ng quality PPEs, pasado sa quality standards ng DOH. Ito po yung mga CPMP, Confederation of Philippine Manufacturers of PPEs, at saka CONWEP, I forget the whole name. Pero nagreklamo sila na on the request of government itself, ni-retrofit nila yung kanilang garments industries in order to produce medical grade PPEs. At di hamak na hindi lang competitive pero mas mababa yung price nila. And they could not for the life of them understand bakit yung PSDBM under then Yusek Lau instead procured more expensive and some subpar, sub-quality, mostly China-made PPEs rather than from them. So just to refresh our memory on that, Mr. Chair, habang pinag-uusapan itong mga misteryoso or hindi maintindihang mga procurements.